Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
A lot to get into here for Week 9 of the National Football League, including tonight's Thursday night tilt between the Dolphins and the Ravens in Miami. We head out to the Progressive guest line. Paul Charchian joins the program now, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. GuillotineLeagues.com is the website. Charge, good afternoon. Good to talk to you as always. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is one of those games where, again, these Thursday night games don't always look great on paper, but more often than not, we've had really good Thursday night games. And I suspect this one is going to have more intrigue to it than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So we'll get your take on tonight's game coming up in about 15. You're going to stick with us here for a full half an hour as you do every Thursday. Let's begin with this. Bengals defense is just hideous. Look away ugly, right? Can't stop anybody. Yeah. 500 yards to the Jets, 250 plus on the ground last week. Now here's the deal. They get the Bears this week, and everybody's thinking smash bot DeAndre Swift did not practice, right? So what are we looking at here with the Chicago backfield against this hideous defense that we talked about with the Bengals?
Well, first, I'm going to talk about Swift for just a minute because Ben Johnson seems to have cracked the code on how to best use Swift, and we've seen the usage really changed dramatically in the last month. It's more zone runs. It's longer developing reads, aided by the Bears' much improved offensive line. And that has made Swift a very reliable producer for, again, like the last month. Bengals allowing the most rushing yards to opposing runners, 132 per game. That is 13 more rushing yards than any other team. So if Swift goes, I like him plenty here. But the real angle is probably backup Kyle Monangai. Over the last 2 weeks, Monangai has vaulted to a near 50-50 split in snaps with DeAndre Swift. Now, Swift has still been getting more rushes than Monangai has, but the gap is starting to close here. And if Swift isn't healthy, they'll clearly go to Monangai, who could end up, even if Swift plays, Monangai could end up with more carries. Monangai also, by the way, has had carries from inside the 5-yard line in consecutive games. He's got some touchdown potential to him. He's a bigger backed guy, absolutely built for goal line work and better built for goal line work than Swift is, in my opinion. Also, non-number one running backs have had a ton of success against the Bengals, including Isaiah Davis last week, who put up 110 yards. So to me, the focal point of this Bears-Bengals game in terms of the running backs, it's Kyle Monangai's the play here.
Well, so what do we do from a Bengals standpoint that Flacco is 50-50 now with the AC joint?
I know, which is kind of a bummer because this is a great spot.
Yeah.
The Bears are likely, well, we know they're out 2 cornerbacks. We know Kyler Gordon is out, and these are their 2 best cornerbacks. Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson are on IR. Tyreek Stevenson's status still unknown, but they may be out. They're going to be out either 2 or 3 starting cornerbacks. So opportunity should be there. The catches, of course. Jake Browning's was so bad in his starts that you hesitate a little bit here. Jamar Chase targeted 23 and 19 times the last 2 games in these Joe Flacco starts, which is crazy. It set the all-time record. I don't know if you guys know this. Jamar Chase has set the all-time record for most targets in consecutive games at 42. Had you guys heard that?
No.
Ooh.
This is the first. What was the previous record?
I'm glad you asked. Previous record was 40. No chance you'll guess, I think, who it was.
I would say Brandon Marshall.
Hey!
Yes, you did know. Dude, nice.
Good call.
Wow. Brandon Marshall had this crazy game in 2009 where he had 21 catches on 28 targets for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, my God.
So it was nicely done. That was really, really impressive.
I knew that he had I knew that he had a crazy game, like 28 targets, so I don't recall that part of it.
Yes. Yeah. Brandon Marshall. That was really nicely. That was his Denver days. If you're wondering which of his stops that was in the Denver era. For Flacco, obviously we hope he plays. You have the risk of him taking a sack, landing on the shoulder, game ends early. That's part of the implied danger with Flacco or picking any part of that offense. But let me highlight a sneaky play, if you don't mind, from the Bengals offense. Bears give up the highest ratio of yards and catches to slot receivers of any team in the league. And the Kyler Gordon is out. He's their slot cornerback. Their replacement is a guy named Nick McLeod. He gives up an 88% catch rate in his coverage. He's allowing a touchdown every 7 completions in his coverage. Andre Yosevich. I know, who cares about Andre Yosevich? He's the guy who lines up in the slot for the Bengals. That is your sneaky under the radar play if you're looking for one in this game. And obviously it'll help a lot if Joe Flacco goes. What
do we do now that Dowdle has seemingly won the job and he's going to he should have been getting most of the carries after what he did back-to-back games? How do we attack the Carolina backfield?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. And I think they handled it. I think Dave Canales handled it just right. So, Rico Dowdle, and last year, shockingly good. In December, they extended him, gave him a whole new contract, and he rolled into this year as the starter, but he has been hurt, and Hubbard just hasn't been all that good. Then Rico Dowdle wins the starting job, and over the last month, he's averaging 7 yards per carry. When Chuba Hubbard missed those 2 games, Dowdle rolled up to 400 yards and 450 yards. And when Hubbard came back, I think Dave Canales just sort of said, all right, look, we'll let the best man win. Well, the best man was Dowdle. Dave Canales told us as much this week that Dowdle's going to be the starter. And so I like the fact that they're going on merit. Rico Dowdle should be is the best back. He should win that opportunity, and he has. Now, Packers coming up, and I don't love either guy for the Packers, but let me stress this for fantasy use on Hubbard. Just drop him. I know that you drafted Chuba Hubbard in round 5, but here's the thing. He's a backup runner on the 6th worst scoring offense. You can find backup runners on the waiver wire. There's no need to hold him. We get emotionally tied to the guys that we drafted and what we thought they were going to do. Just cut bait here. I think there are other better handcuffs to be had.
Yuck. I hate hearing that. In that same game, man, is it just Tucker Kraft, the only guy in the passing game for Green Bay that we can trust? What do you want to do with the wide receivers?
Just Tucker Kraft. I think you drop them all. Drop them all off your roster. Remember, not only are you giving up on a befuddling situation that is you're probably going to get wrong most weeks, but also it frees up the opportunity to pick somebody else up who might do better for you. We had hoped that first-round pick Matthew Golden would emerge as the number 1 receiver for the Packers because they haven't had one since Devontae Adams, and the opportunity was there. They've been waiting for somebody to go become the alpha. Nobody's done it. And it doesn't look like it's going to be Matthew Golden. They bring back Christian Watson, first game back off a year of missed time, and he promptly leads the Packers with 4 catches and 85 yards. And further confounding matters, by this time next week, Jaden Reed might be back from his foot injury. His return timetable is basically here. You are spinning your wheels every single game trying to guess which Packer is going to be okay to start for fantasy, when nobody, and including I think many times the Packers, don't know necessarily which guy is going to be serviceable, and it's usually only one guy in any given week. So let's just get out of this whole Packer wide receiver room entirely and divorce ourselves of them. Let's drop them all.
That stings to hear, but I think you're probably spot on with that. Okay, so what's going on in Jacksonville with second-year wide receiver Brian Thomas, who had a great rookie year a season ago? The team had to come out and squash reports that he's on the trading block, which I mean, seriously, they're going to maybe deal the guy already? What do you think is going on in this situation here?
And if they did deal him, what a dramatic fall from grace for Brian Thomas, who at second half of last year was awesome. He was it was a rookie of the year conversation. He was great. Mm-hmm. Brian Thomas, there was no reason to see this coming. He leads the NFL in drop passes. He has the second worst drop percentage. 18% of his passes are dropped. I mean, imagine that. 1 out of every 5 balls thrown to Brian Thomas that are accurate, catchable passes, he's dropping. Meanwhile, last time we saw the Jags, they were on bye last week. Travis Hunter emerging with all of those targets. We had not seen a lot of Travis Hunter, frustratingly so. That all changed 2 games ago. And if that's going to continue, and it should, by the way, I mean, Travis Hunter right now, I think, is a more intriguing prospect, and you have more confidence than what Brian Thomas has been able to do. Can Thomas turn it around? Well, of course, we saw it last year, but there is something weird going on here. He looks like the effort level is strangely missing. He doesn't look like he's running through his routes. There's some stuff going on with Brian Thomas that I don't think you want your fantasy team to be on the hook for as they try to figure this thing out.
Brutal fall from grace, no doubt. How about this for an angle? Because I think Hunter can kill it in the final half of the season. He is 50-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Can he steal this thing?
Wow. It's shocking because we had thought this running back class was going to be absolutely epic, and there were going to be runners here that were going to emerge and just run away with Rookie of the Year, whether it was going to be Omarion Hampton or Ashton Genty, somebody else. None of that seems to have really put itself together right now. That's a fascinating play, and that value at 50-1, really intriguing. If that usage that we saw 2 weeks ago is going to continue, he'll be in this conversation.
Yeah, I think he will too. You're exactly right. He has to continue to get that usage, and if it's there, then because of the hype coming into the season, I think he'll at least be in the conversation. We'll continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian with GuillotineLeagues.com coming up next. Thursday Night Football, he has a bunch of props that he likes for tonight and also Sunday. Should we expect the Ravens offense to be firing on all cylinders with Lamar Jackson and his first game back in several weeks?
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a Thursday. World Series has kind of tilted, Paulie, since that 18-inning affair on Tuesday night. Gone back now in the direction of, Monday night actually, of the Toronto Blue Jays. And we'll talk more about that game and the series now with Ian Hunter as he joins the program on the Progressive Guest Line. He's on X at Blue Jays Hunter with the Jays Nation. Ian, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. It's nice to have an off day here during this World Series, 3 consecutive games. And, well, they essentially played a doubleheader in Game 3, so 4 games essentially. So I'm sure the players are enjoying the rest, and so is everybody else.
Yeah, let's go back sometime in the regular season. When did you think that the Blue Jays were a championship caliber winning team?
Well, you can kind of pinpoint, I would say, early July. The Blue Jays had a 4-game series at Rogers Center in Toronto against the Yankees. At that point, the Jays were just slightly behind New York for the division lead. And the Blue Jays swept that 4-game series at home and overtook the Yankees for the division lead and never looked back. It's funny. I look back in maybe May, they were a few games under 500. It looked like they might even struggle to just make the postseason. So the fact that they've gotten this far when nobody really pegged them as a division winner, let alone in the team, a team in the World Series, it's just a testament to kind of how far this team has come. And I don't want to say overachieved, but definitely exceeded expectations.
I can't get enough of this Savage story. And I know we were talking before you came on, like there's nothing to compare it to where you're starting an A-ball in front of 300 fans, and now you're shutting the Dodgers down on the road in the World Series 1 year out of college. You always want to say we're going to develop the guy, we're going to take our time. I also think the organization deserves a ton of credit to keep saying, okay, how about AA, AAA? Oh, you want to pitch against the Yankees? Come on, let's go. I can't get enough of this story.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. Savage is only 22 years old, already pitched 2 World Series games for the Blue Jays, and probably 2 of the most dominant postseason starts the Blue Jays have ever had in the postseason as well. Most strikeouts by a rookie in a World Series game, most strikeouts in a World Series game since Orlando Hernandez in 2000. he made the Dodgers eat out of his hand, which is odd because game one, he didn't really have a good feel for his splitter, kind of struggled through that Dodgers lineup. But last night it was just, everything was working, especially his slider. Like his slider, he had 14 swings and misses on that pitch alone. There was one particular at bat where he struck out Shohei Ohtani, and Ohtani kind of his helmet flew off, and Savage just walked off the mound casually. It's an incredible story, and one that the Blue Jays really haven't had in terms of a draft and developing like an ace level starting pitcher. I realize development's not always linear, but it's an incredible success case, not just for a young pitcher like Savage, but the Blue Jays organization as a whole.
Will we see Springer tomorrow?
I kind of think so. It's funny. He's got an oblique injury. I think typically during the regular season that might sideline someone for at least 4 weeks, maybe 6 or 8. But with this being Game 6 of the World Series, potentially going 7, I think you're going to have to arm wrestle guys to not be in this lineup. So it could be, if he's in the starting lineup, I think it's in a DH capacity. It looks like he actually might come into the game last night as a pinch runner late. So he's certainly available. He's not written off, but certainly not 100% after in the ALCS, he took a pitch off the knee. And then, of course, the oblique on a swing a couple of nights ago. So, I mean, this Blue Jays lineup is battered and bruised. Bo Bichette just was activated for the World Series as well. He's dealing with a knee injury. So these guys are not 100%, but I think the Jays would take even George Springer at 50% compared to any other guy in the lineup right now.
Their incredible scouting paid off big time right away. How they attacked Blake Snell in that game, Ian, right out of the gates, obviously was a big benefit as they hit 2 home runs going back-to-back for the first time in World Series history as a team that was dominated by Yamamoto in Game 2 of the series. What do you think the attack is here in Game 6?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be incredibly tough. I thought even if this series got back to Toronto, you've got Yamamoto looming in Game 6, the guy who's thrown 2 consecutive complete games in the postseason now. So the Jays they managed to elevate his pitch count early in Game 1, but they didn't get anything off him beyond the 3rd inning. So I think it's the Blue Jays' MO is kind of to grind out at bat, put the ball in play, and get on base. And I think they just have to continue with that approach. I think if they can rack up Yamamoto's pitch count, as they've done with guys like Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow in the World Series, you can get to the Dodgers bullpen. And that certainly is, I think, if there's a weakness of this Dodgers team, it is that bullpen. Kind of the bridge to Roki Sasaki is a little shaky. So I think they just have to stick with their approach. And, keep in mind, this has been the best offensive team. The Blue Jays have been in the playoffs. Most homers, highest batting average, every offensive stat, they have led Major League Baseball. Yeah. So I think at some point they're probably going to break through here.
What's the plan Game 7?
Yeah, so I think Max Scherzer would be on tap for Game 7 here, which I think would be electric. If you asked Jays fans a couple weeks ago, they would think that's a pretty scary prospect because he had a really shaky end of the regular season and was left off the ALDS roster, but had a massive start for the Blue Jays in the ALCS against the Mariners and kind of held his own earlier this week against the Dodgers. So I think ideally they'd love to get it wrapped up in Game 6, but it's with Yamamoto. I think it's an uphill battle, but they've got 2 shots at it here, and they're also at home too, which the Jays are a far better hitting team at Rogers Center than they are on the road for sure.
Do you think we could see Savage again in a Game 7?
I think it's a case where all hands are on deck. I know in Game 4 of the ALDS series against the Yankees, we saw Kevin Gausman and Trey Savage in the bullpen just in case the Blue Jays needed to lock things down. And I think because Savage was so dominant against the Dodgers last night, it would not shock me if it goes to a Game 7 if we see someone like Savage, because relievers, for example, like Louis Varland, he's pitched in almost every single game for the Blue Jays in the postseason. The Dodgers have had a ton of looks at him, whereas Savage, he's just got that devastating splitter. and slider combination. I think it's certainly on the table. We've seen Chris Bassett out of the bullpen this playoff. We've seen Kevin Gausman. Wouldn't shock me to see you Savage as well.
Do you have an MVP vote?
I mean, if I had to pick someone, I think it's probably Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He won the ALCS MVP. It's crazy because in September at the end of the regular season, he was going through one of the worst stretches of his career. And now he's put this team on his back, set a franchise record for home runs in a single postseason for the Blue Jays. He's hitting .415. He's got 8 home runs, 15 RBIs, and another big home run yesterday. I think if he continues on this pace, it's probably Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s MVP.
Who do you think a backup player would be? And just in case, the Blue Jays win it, let's say in 7 games, and Vlad maybe goes hitless the rest of the way, who could steal the award from him?
It's funny. A guy like Ernie Clement is someone who's been a really kind of unsung hero for this team this year, but I think a lot of people are catching on to him. He only has 2 fewer hits than Guerrero in the postseason. He's hitting .391, and then maybe down ballot one, I would say their catcher Alejandro Kirk, who has 5 home runs this postseason. He had a huge go-ahead home run in Game 4 of the World Series. So those would probably be 2 guys. I would say if I had to pick one, it would be Vlad, and then 1A would probably be Ernie Clement.
Ian, how does this compare for the Toronto fan base to the Maple Leafs? If they, let's say that they make a deep run and made the finals or whatever in the Stanley Cup. They haven't won anything since the late 60s, but how does the baseball fan base compare to the Maple Leafs?
I mean, it's ravenous. The Blue Jays haven't been in the World Series for 32 years. It's captivated basically the entire country up here. I think the Jays had over 7 million people tune in from Canada, watch that World Series game last night. So everyone is just super hungry for this. And I know there are far more tortured fan bases than the Blue Jays, but it's been really cool to see a new generation kind of realize what the potential of this organization could be. And if they win it, I think Toronto is going to be complete bedlam.
Yeah, you can say that again. You can follow Ian on X at Blue Jay Hunter. He's with the Jays Nation. Ian, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Ian Hunter. Springer, I think, is probably going to go based on that report.
Yeah.
Kind of game time decision about last night.
I kind of agree with him, too, that why Clement doesn't have better odds.
Yeah.
Guy's been great every single game and delivered.
Home field has meant something on Thursday Night Football starting this week, going back almost a decade. We'll give you the strong numbers next here on VSiN.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome aboard. We're live in downtown Vegas. Circa Resort Casino is the spot. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard here on a Thursday. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. In this hour, we'll get best bets in soccer. We have our best bets in pocket plays coming up. We'll touch on the World Series, and right now we go out to the Progressive Guest Line to talk Thursday Night Football as Glenn Clark joins the program. He follows the Ravens for Press Box Online, and you can follow him on X at Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. How are you, pal?
Mitch, Paulie, my legends. It's always great to chat with you guys. It wouldn't be a Ravens primetime game without checking in with you boys ahead of time.
And vice versa. Absolutely. Got to reach out here and get Glenn on the program when Baltimore is involved. So now Lamar is finally back tonight. Been about a good month, right? Seems longer than that because this team has been the most disappointing team in the league. A lot of that obviously is based on him not playing. Is he 100%? Like just everything's going to happen like it's normal for this team tonight?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would tell you that he says he is, and I think there was purpose in Lamar Jackson not playing on Sunday against the Bears. I think they believe that it presented the best opportunity for him to be 100% for this game, and this being a conference game while the Bears wasn't. I think they thought this was just slightly more important because of potential tiebreakers. It still remains to be seen. I'm still a little bit reluctant to hit Lamar Jackson rushing props tonight until we see it. And I think I told you guys, I thought he was a little tentative early on this season in taking off and running. So I might be avoiding his rushing numbers a little bit tonight. I think tonight it might be a little bit more of a Derrick Henry and ground game, but it's what everybody wants to see. Lamar is dismissive of any questions that he's not 100%. He almost laughed at it when it was brought up this week, but he's got to go out there and prove that tonight.
Are they expecting a fine? Or you think that league's going to come down and drop the hammer on him?
They have to, right? Paulie, they have to. I mean, they drop the hammer is an interesting question, right? Because I know Florio was pushing out the idea of it being a draft pick. I still think that's tough because they're going to have a little plausible deniability in there. Look, John Harbaugh is responsible for knowing the rules. He can say he didn't know the rule was that if someone participates in full, but it's with and for those that don't know, on Friday, they listed Lamar Jackson as a full participant in practice, even though he was working with the scout team and not the regulars. And the NFL rules say if someone works with a unit that they wouldn't be working with because of injury, then they have to be listed as a limited participant. That's pretty black and white. They're going to have to get hit with a penalty because of it. There's no way around that. They were clearly not attempting to be forthcoming. I think it's pretty clear they thought they could get away with it. And it's possible they didn't know the extent of that rule, but you have to. So I'd still be a little surprised by it being draft pick, but I do think they're absolutely going to hit with a fine. I know everybody's pushing the comparison to the NBA scandal from last week. It's tough. These are completely different things. I get it's not a great look. And look, the NFL is working with betting companies and, they have to prove to bettors that bets aren't fraudulent. And this is one of those things where clearly the Ravens were not interested in telling the full story throughout the course of the week. I still think that's going to be tough for them to go down the road of a draft pick, but it's going to be a heavy fine at least.
Okay. Very good answer there.
Yes.
So we're all trying to make the case for which players are going to go off tonight in this game, potentially for the Ravens, right? They're favored by 7.5, totals up in the low 50s, and we all expect them to get right against this really bad Miami Dolphins defense. Are we all making a mistake by just overlooking Derrick Henry, right? Is it just going to be, we're going to look back tonight and say, why do we not just all pound Derrick Henry in this game?
I think that's the safest bet, Midge. I really do. I think that right now, I know that they did a much better job against Bijan Robinson last week. But I still think that you assume that the Dolphins' run defense is what you think it is. And also, given the fact that Lamar Jackson is working his way back, that they wanted to a week ago. I mean, they went to Derrick Henry early and often. I know that was without Lamar Jackson on the field. But I think that's going to be the plan going into tonight. It's also something that's smart to do when you're facing a team that just played a football game 3 days ago. See if they're up for 4 quarters of Derrick Henry. And usually the answer is no. So I think it's what they're going to do. I think that's the safest play tonight is to try to go over on Derrick Henry because that's my expectation. And I don't see what would lead against that. I do think there's some other plays that are interesting that we can talk about and some guys that maybe are a little bit further down the list. But yeah, when you're facing one of the bottom 5 run defenses in the NFL, you have Derrick Henry and 2 teams that just played a football game 3 days ago. I think all of the math lines up for this to be a Derrick Henry night.
Okay, so then let's go down the board a little bit more, right? And Derrick Henry's number at DraftKings is 90.5. Typically, I like to stay away from those guys. So I want to concentrate on guys that are in the 15.5 range or the 25.5 range, something like that. So which players did you circle here on this Ravens team then?
I am fascinated with Keaton Mitchell tonight. And look, first of all, you've got to make sure he's active. I would not be making a Keaton Mitchell bet until the inactives come out because the Ravens, for the first time seemingly in forever, have all 53 players on the roster healthy and available. So their 7 scratches are not going to be obvious. And earlier in the season, Keaton Mitchell was regularly a healthy scratch because he just doesn't have a special teams role. And their third running back, Rashaan Ali, is one of their more important special teams players. But they found something. It wasn't a ton of touches last week, but they really did find something going to Keaton Mitchell late after the Bears have been worn down by Derrick Henry. And then you bring in Keaton Mitchell for 4 carries where he averaged 10.8 yards per carry in the second half. And this is a worn down run defense. And so I think that's something they're going to want to keep doing. And so I'm going to watch for the inactive report tonight. And as long as Keaton Mitchell is active, I'm going to hit not only his over, but I might push that number up 20, maybe even the range of 25 on some of those alternate rush totals, because I feel like there's a chance for the Ravens to do the exact same thing, wear you down with Derrick Henry, and then go the thunder and lightning route and bring in Keaton Mitchell in the second half, get him to the outside, get him to the edge, and get those big chunk yards to start putting this game away.
Here's another angle, by the way. Keaton Mitchell's longest rush tonight is 7.5 at DraftKings. And every time,
I love that.
Right, when he's been healthy, whenever you watch his kid play, you're like, man, what would he look like if he started on a team in the NFL?
He is a burst, man. I can't even explain how frustrating it is to everyone. The question gets asked every time Keaton Mitchell is inactive. You almost feel for John Harbaugh because he's got to go through the whole process. Look, we only have so many active players that we can have, and everybody's got a special team role. But every time you watch Keaton Mitchell, you say, there's something special there. He's a second-generation NFL player. His father was a playoff hero for the Ravens in their run to Super Bowl 35. So in that way, he's kind of a beloved, like, folk hero figure in this town. And he gets that edge and has a speed that I haven't seen in very many backs that have ever come through Baltimore. So, yeah, 7.5. I mean, again, I brought up his average was 10.8 last week. He had a 25-yard run last week. When he turns the corner, and that's the way they try to use him, is to get him to the outside, I think that's an easy over to take. Again, you got to wait, make sure he's active before you put those bets in, but I love the over on that.
You know what's going on with the odds? You follow this a long time in the NFL. What do you think of the Ravens favored to win the division at 2-5 and $1.50 to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I feel like it's the thing that we talked about when I was out there this summer hanging out with you and doing my show at the Circa. There's just nothing to like about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nothing about that team that you look at and say, here's something they do well, other than they're well coached. I feel like the Ravens, it's absolutely their division still to win. And I know that's insane for a team that's 2-5. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But tell me who's beating them. Like, tell me which of these other teams is a certainty to get to 10 wins. And I'm not saying the Ravens even are a certainty to get to 10 wins, but I think they're the most likely team of this group to figure out a way to get 10 wins because they have Lamar Jackson. The Bengals may get Joe Burrow back at some point, but we see that they lost to the Jets at home. Their defense is just putrid. And the Steelers, they have a couple of football players that you like, but there is nothing about them that they do well. So I think it's not surprising at all that as soon as the Steelers lost a game and the Ravens won a game last week, the Ravens went right back to being the favorites in the division. A lot of people have started looking at the schedule and saying, boy, is there a chance the Ravens catch the Steelers even before they play their first game against each other in Week 14? And I think that's very likely at this point. I don't know how you don't pick the Ravens, and it has much to do with the division, if not more to do with the division than it is the Ravens.
How would you bet this game from a side or a total standpoint?
Yeah, it does really feel like a hard reset type of night for the Ravens and sort of a get-right game. I get that 7.5 is a big number on the road on a Thursday night, but I mean, I think what we saw last week from Miami is an anomaly. I do still think that this is a chance for both teams to remind you of who they are, so I'm inclined to like the Ravens there. The total to me is interesting because I do think this is going to be a game on the ground. Like, I really do. And I'm still not sure what exactly to make of the Ravens defense, but they've undoubtedly been better the last 2 weeks. They only had one sack last week against the Bears, but they also forced 2 intentional groundings that are as good as sacks. And they have really been a lot better. Alohi Gilman showed up in that Odafe Owe trade, and it allowed them to get Kyle Hamilton back in the box and back up closer to the line of scrimmage. And they've been a much better defense since that point. So, I don't think I would make the bet because how do you bet an under in a Lamar Jackson game? But I do think that this is not a sure over to me tonight because I think it could be a heavy ground game.
You can follow Glenn on X at Glenn Clark Radio. Covers the Ravens in Baltimore for PressBox Online. Glenn, as always, thanks for the time today. Enjoy the game.
Mitch, Paulie, you're the best. Always appreciate you guys.
Great answers,
back at
buddy.
you. Yep. And he's right. Keaton Mitchell looked awesome last week. 4 carries, 43 yards.
16-1, most rushing. Good enough? Got it all. Rips off a long one, blowout scenario, all of it.
Yeah, gets all the carries in the second half.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I like longest rush over 7.5. Yeah. Not a lot of books have that posted, though. Up next, I believe a 12-1 shot is live in the World Series. This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Get some best bets in soccer for the weekend here. We head out to the Progressive guest line as the meat man Steve Wist joins the program with Because We Win, the Nordic Football Podcast. He's on X at Meat Man Soccer. Steve, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. Let's start here. A couple of weeks ago, you were on a scorching hot stretch of 16-6-1 with the plays in soccer over a 23-game stretch, and you were always level-headed about it. We would ask you, hey, congratulations, pal, keep it going. And your response was always, well, you're only as good as your next bet. Then you go into a little bit of a funk, take some bad beats. How do you keep your mind right and stay focused when it goes south for you like that?
Well, good day to you guys. Do you know what? You just got to take it on the chin, really. I think you're right. I did have a few bad beats. I also got a few matches wrong. And you've got to sometimes reassess. In the soccer season, it's the time of the year now where sometimes you've got to reassess your opinions on teams. You might have got some right, you might have got some wrong. In my instance, I think I probably got Sunderland wrong, and I might have actually got Manchester United wrong. We'll talk about them more on today's show. But in all sports betting, you are going to take some bad beats, some bad hits, some moments you've got to pick yourself up off the canvas sometimes. It's about mentality. You can't feel too sorry for yourself, and you absolutely, the one thing you cannot do is chase. That's your biggest mistake.
Well said.
Yep.
Good job, my man. All right, let's bounce back and get it. Let's start Saturday, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern, Fulham against Wolverhampton. What do you want to do with Fulham?
There's a lot of bets I like in this game, actually. Fulham money line -125. That's my best bet in the game. I also like both teams score yes at +105. And over 2.5 goals is, I think, a good price at +125 as well. Wolves, they just stink. They just stink the place out. They can't get a win in the league at all. They constantly find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. And they're also in a position where they're so desperate that if it's a draw with 10 minutes to go, they are risking the whole house to go for the win and leave themselves open. And they lost to Burnley last week. I got the under completely wrong last week. And I think the reason for it is because Wolves are in that desperate position. They're making a lot of mistakes at the back. And I think Fulham beat them here. Fulham, on the metrics and stuff and the league table, are not doing that well. But they've had a tough run of fixtures. All their matches have been against teams inside the top 12, apart from one game. So they've definitely faced tougher opponents than Wolves, who've already faced the 3 newly promoted teams and lost to them all. So I think this Fulham team is better than Wolves. And I think they can get a result here on the money line. I think both teams score yes, and it goes over. Something like a 3-1 win for Fulham, and Wolves will find ways to lose the game again.
All right. So this is the team you talked about, and sometimes you have you're wrong, have a bad opinion about a certain club. You mentioned this last time you were on about that. We showed it. The kid who's going to cut his hair. Now they have to win 5 in a row, and now we're getting close here. Will this kid Will this kid go to the barber? Can Man U knock off Nottingham Forest and extend the winning streak?
I was going to say that barber's getting excited here. 2 more wins, and he's in business. And I wanted to oppose Manchester United again because I still don't think they can pull it together. But instead, I'm going with the under 2.75 goals in the game because Nottingham Forest have got a new manager, Sean Dyche. And the first 2 matches in charge of the club, they beat Porto 2-0 and they lost 2-0 at Bournemouth. And when he comes into any new team, the first thing he works on is defence. defense, set pieces, stuff like that. I look back, the first 5 home games when he took charge of Everton, there's some 3-1-0 wins, a 1-1 draw, and a 2-0 loss. And all of those went under 2.5 goals. We can get an under 2.75 goal line here at -110, which is too high with this new manager in charge. Manchester United, the key to their recent success has been not having much possession. But they're going to have more of the ball here because Forest will make them. They're going to have to break down a tough, rigid, disciplined Nottingham Forest team. And I don't think it will be so easy for Man United. But, yeah, I have bottled opposing them because there's something different about this Man U side. Maybe they can find a way to win. Even if they do win it 1-0, that doesn't bother me. We'll go under 2.75 goals here at -110.
Very good. Steve Wiss, our guest. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Now, I have Liverpool tied up in some cross-sport parlays. Not looking so hot, my friend. What, they've lost 5 straight now?
Yeah.
Going into the tank as we speak. Playing again this weekend against Aston Villa. And what's your analysis here and what's your best bet?
I think it gets worse for Liverpool. They have got some serious problems. And the main issue is defence. They've conceded a lot of goals. They actually have the 4th worst expected goals against in the league. So they've not even been unlucky or anything. And I think Aston Villa on the +1 Asian handicap here, -120, looks a really good bet. In fact, you could load up on a few Villa bets here. You could take the team total over 1.5, over 2.5, even Villa money line at plus 450, because this Liverpool team just definitely have issues at the back. They can score goals, Liverpool, but while they're in this funk, they just have to be opposed, in my opinion. A Villa side, by the way, who are in really good form themselves. They've won 6 of the last 7 games. So this is a complete contrast to the Aston Villa that was at the start of the season. So I'm going against Liverpool again. +1 handicap on Villa is the best bet for the game.
Hey, jumping on board with Sunderland. They are now tied for 3rd at top of the table in the Premier League. They play Monday afternoon against Everton.
Yeah, I think I've got Sunderland wrong. I'll be honest. I think they've been a lot better than I expected. They've not been that lucky. They deserve something at Chelsea last week, and fair play to them. And I've got to take them draw no bet here Monday night against Everton. This is a silly odds, -110. I think they're the better team than Everton right now. They've got home advantage. They're unbeaten at home. They've only had 2 defeats all season anyway. We've got the Monday night atmosphere. I mean, Sunderland's got one of the biggest stadiums, in the Premier League. Not a lot of people will know that. 50,000 plus here. So they're going to make a huge noise. And Everton just won winning 6 games. They've already lost against a newly promoted team in Leeds on the opening day. That was also a Monday night. And I just don't think Sunderland are going to be shying away from the contest here. And I don't think they'll lose the fixture. Everton don't look like winning the game. And we're looking at probably 1-0, 2-0 to Sunderland, the way they've been playing. This is a much better team than I expected. Maybe they'll drop off after Christmas. But at the moment, I don't really want to be opposing Sunderland again after last week. I really got bitten badly.
Okay, English Championship League, the league below the Premier League. You had a winner last time out with Coventry. They're in first place on top of the table. What do you think of them against their price, $1.20 against Wrexham?
I think Coventry are an auto bet right now, Paulie, to be honest, in every single match. They're the best team in the Championship at the moment. 6 wins in a row, 19 goals scored in that 6-game period, 4 wins to 0. This is the best team in the Championship at them. I think they'll win the league. And money line at -120 against Wrexham. And Wrexham, of course, very popular team, aren't they? Across the world now with the connections they have. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, Disney and stuff like that. Not sure this will be a fairy tale ending for them here, though. At the end of the day, they're just a mid to lower ranked side in the Championship this season. 3 wins in the division. They're doing okay. They'll survive. They won't have any problem surviving. But also, they've had a lot of games recently. They played just 3 days ago in the Cup against Cardiff. It was an all-Welsh matchup, actually. So Coventry have had a whole week to prepare for the game. They're going to be fresher. They're really hungry right now, and they're really well managed by Frank Lampard, who's a famous England player in the past, of course. And this looks a really good bet. If you can get Coventry money line -120 anywhere these days, it's a good bet. Or -1 Asian handicaps at home, because these guys are playing some sensational soccer, and I just think they're going to be too strong for a potentially tired Wrexham team. 90
seconds left, Meat Man. It's great. All these games are on TV on Paramount. Hull City. This is 8:30 in the morning, 5:30 Pacific Saturday. Hull City against Norwich. What has happened to them? They used to be in the Premier League. They're the second worst team right now.
The Canaries, but they've got no wings right now whatsoever. This is my long shot of the week. Hull money line plus 210. I think they have to be a bet because Norwich City have lost every single home game this season. They've lost 5 consecutive fixtures. The manager, Liam Manning's under huge pressure. I often talk about managers on this show.
Yes.
The chairman, the president, has just given him a vote of confidence, and that's usually not a good sign. It usually means they're going to be sacked within the next 1 or 2 games. So I think Hull come here and get the result. They've only had 1 loss in their last 8 games. If you want to play it safer, you could go on a draw no bet or draw double chance. Who on earth would back Norwich at plus 110 right now? Nobody, surely, with their right mind, would be backing Norwich City. This looks a massive, massive price on Hull. Absolutely worth a fair few dollars on this one at plus 210. It's an overreaction because Norwich's reputation is very good, like you say, Paulie, but they're not performing on the field. And Hull are a sneaky good team.
You can get more bets and analysis listening to Steve, a couple of podcasts, Because We Win, and also the Nordic Football Pod, and follow him on X at MeatmanSoccer. As always, Steve, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks so much, Light. Let's go. Let's smash some winners.
You got it. Thanks, my man. College basketball tips off Monday. Now's the time to get your copy of our annual betting guide, Matt Human's top 50 rankings, futures, season-long prop bets, betting nuggets on every conference from Hoops Peterson. The only way to get the guides is become a VSiN Pro subscriber. Sign up now, just $120 to get access to everything we do until May 1st, all college basketball season long. March Madness and beyond, less than $20 a month. Sign up today, vsin.com/subscribe.
We're going to recap our best bets from last night and tell you what we're betting tonight and moving forward next in Pocket Plays. And follow the money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee, and right now you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.